Great to see you. Hello, hello.
Some fun wineries today.
Yes, we're very excited. All right, we'll just let everybody get in and settle in for a second. Many of you already know the drill. You're seasoned veterans on this virtual tasting. So nice to see you guys. I won't be able to say hello to everybody, but I spy a few folks that I recognize. There's Sean and Jackie and Patty and Charlie, and I think Jim and Joan are there. At least Joan's there for the moment. Hello, hello. Yeah.
Hi, Becky.
Hi.
Hi, Beck.
I'm busy pouring wine.
Well, let's get going because we have so many wonderful things.
I want to say hi too.
So we're going to mute everyone to kick off, except for our panelists, so that we can make sure that we hear everybody and that we see everything. There we go. Thank you, Leah. And I want to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I am Rebecca Robinson. I am the Executive Director of ZAP, Zinfandel Advocates and Producers. And we've been doing these virtual tastings now for almost a year, but I am so excited that now virtual is not the only way to taste, that we are now starting to get out into wine country. As a matter of fact, we had some meetings in wine country today, and so we're coming to you from a remote location, an undisclosed remote location. A couple of housekeeping items before we get going. Being on video is not required. We love to see your faces, but you don't have to show them. And we want to be sure that you are in speaker view because we're going to what we call pin our speakers so that you can see them and you get the best viewing profile for everybody. Please use your chat box to ask any questions, and as either we go along, we'll try to get to them, or at the end, we'll have a short segment for Q&A. So we really want to be interactive and to have you experience the most of this tasting today. So without further ado, I want to kick off with Zinfandel Trail. Zinfandel Trail is the latest program from ZAP. It is a website, but it is so much more than that. It is also an experience. You're going to find your flavor on the Zinfandel Trail. You are going to have a chance to taste amazing Zinfandels on the Zinfandel Trail. But first we have to get you there. And so we created this platform thanks to a grant that we received from the California Department of Food and Ag to help schedule your time to go to wineries. And so we want to just take a moment to show that to you before I introduce our illustrious moderator, Paul Rubio. So Leah's going to drive the train, so to speak, or the trail, and she's going to show you, this is zinfandeltrail.com. And what she just clicked to was the trail map. And what's really exciting is that we have almost 150 wineries on the Zinfandel Trail. And you can find them in alphabetical order. There's Alexander Valley Vineyards, which we're going to be talking about and visiting with Katie in a little bit. And we've got other wineries going down. You can see that we've got Mendocino wineries. We've got Urban Crawl wineries. She's going along. And what happens is that you can then select those wineries. And what's really exciting about this is that then you can plot your strategy for how to get to those wineries. And so California is a big state, and we wanted to be sure that you can understand that, yeah, I can totally get to Alexander Valley and to Quivira, but if I'm going to go to Lodi and visit Harney Lane, I may want to do a focused day in Lodi because that's a little bit of a drive, as you can see. So that's one element to the Zinfandel Trail. And then there are other elements as well. And we are building a very, very exciting, robust, featured routes that shows what do I do when I go to Lodi, or what's going to happen if I go to Geyserville and drop down to then Dry Creek Valley. And so we're building these all the time. So it's not a static thing. We put some up for right now, and we're going to continue to do that as we go along. that's a very quick snapshot of it. If anybody needs to get a tutorial, we're always happy to help at the ZAP office, but I don't want to take any more time now to go through the mechanics of this. We really want to get to the experience of it, taste the wines, and find out what these wineries are up to now. So without further ado, I want to introduce our moderator for today, Paul Rubio. And I asked Paul just before we got on with you all, I said, just give me the elevator, Paul. What is it that, that your background is all about? And he said, I love to travel. I'm a photographer. I've had, what did you say, 25 awards with his work, which is really remarkable. He's a wine lover, but more of a wine enthusiast. So he comes at this from the travel side, which is really exciting because it is such a fresh perspective in terms of what we want to learn and experience today. So Paul, I want to turn it over to you and have you take us on this exploration on the Zinfandel Trail. And thank you so much to our hosts, our winemaker hosts, and to you for being here today.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you for the lovely introduction. My name is Paul Rubio. I'm a travel journalist with bylines and magazines like Condé Nast Traveler and Afar. And I'm also the travel editor of Palm Beach Media Group, closer here to home in the US. On this slide, you may have seen that I visited 133 countries in the last 20 years, was trying to hit 150 by the end of 2020, but we know that 2020 is the year that did not count and we do not speak of, so that will be the goal this year. And despite all these travels around the world, I still find California wine country as amazing and charming as the first time I visited in 2008. I'm always excited to see the new and exciting things that are arising in California wine country. Case in point, the Zinfandel Trail. So thanks to the Zinfandel Trail, you can choose your own adventure across California's winelands in search of many fabulous Zinfandels. As Becky had already mentioned, there are 175 vineyards across within the Zinfandel Trail, and the easy to use trail map will help you choose which vineyards are right for you and then plot the points on the map. It can be easy if you want and just go to the pre-arranged itineraries, or you can create your own adventure through the website. Everyone has plenty of time to do that after this. So now I'm going to introduce you to 3 personalities behind vineyards you're going to want to include on your Zinfandel Trail. You should all have a bottle from each of these vineyards corked and ready to go. I have the bottles behind me and I have glasses of each next to me. First, we have Kyle Lerner, who wears 2 hats at Harney Lane Winery as winemaker and owner. Kyle will be taking us on a whirlwind journey through the history and practices of Harney Lane in Lodi and guiding us through a tasting of the 2018 Lizzy James Vineyard Zinfandel live from the vineyard itself. Next, we have Hugh Chappell, the winemaker at Quivira, with us live from the tasting room there. He will guide us through what Quivira has to offer and a tasting of the winery's 2017 Anderson Ranch Vineyard Zinfandel. Finally, we'll hear from Katie Wetzel, owner of the family-run Alexander Valley Vineyards in northern Sonoma. Katie will take us through the generations of Zinfandel making on the family estate and even give us a special mini presentation from the caves. She'll host a tasting of ABV's 2018 Sin Zin, a favorite among Zin lovers since 1978. So the way this is going to work is that I'll introduce each presenter with a brief bio. They'll give us the Cliff Notes version of their winery's offerings. We'll then do a tasting with the face behind the wines and then learn why you should visit the winery in real life on your Zinfandel Trail. So first up is Kyle. Kyle Lerner, live from East Lodi. I'm sorry that I have to pause for Lodi because I've been saying Lodi and I've been corrected so many times, but I'm still drilling it in my head. Lodi. Kyle's an owner and a winemaker of the 5th generation family-owned Harney Lane Winery, which specializes in Zinfandel. Kyle became part of this family and the land through marriage over 25 years ago. Harney Lane wines are made from 100% estate-grown grapes using sustainable farming practices, something that Kyle's very proud of and will tell us more about. He says he is most in his element when he is able to share the estate vineyards with guests. So let's go to Kyle in his preferred habitat and enjoy his 2018 Lizzy James Vineyard Zinfandel.
Paul, thank you.
You're
Welcome, everyone. It's really fun having you out here in the vineyard. I mean, what a crazy spot to be in. Huh? This is absolutely my home. I'm a farmer first and really a vintner second. And so I'm in my element. This is what I would consider my office, which isn't so bad, right?
Not bad at all. Looks amazing. It's nighttime on the East Coast, so totally different, and it looks a little bit nicer where you are right now.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we happen to be sitting in the Lizzy James Vineyard right now. Beautiful old vineyard that was planted back in 1904 originally, and we were able to acquire it in the year 2000. Had we not, this vineyard would be gone today because it would have been leveled and destined for 4-acre or 7-acre horse farms. And so we were able to come in and acquire this, resurrect it because it really hadn't been taken care of, largely left unfarmed. And really we're able to bring it back to what it is today. And as you can see behind me, it's quite a staple of Lodi. It's very well known around here. So Lodi, in fact, is our home, and we've been here for 5 generations. We actually purchased our original home ranch property, which is a couple miles to the south of us, back in the year 1900, and have always been farmers. And in 2006, my wife, George, and I decided that it was time to start producing wines from all these beautiful vineyards that we've been farming all of these generations. And Lizzy James fit right into that portfolio, and what a wonderful staple for Lodi. So should we go to the wine?
Yeah, a quick question first. So what makes the Lizzy James Vineyard special from a farmer's and a winemaker's perspective?
One thing that's very unique about these old vineyards is they're one-offs. They have a very dynamic individual flavor profile that I can't replicate in a new planting anywhere. You know, you have vines here that vary in age. The one that I'm standing next to or sitting next to right here was an original 1904 planting, 117 years old, still producing wonderful small clusters of fruit that actually just really enhance what's going on. What's amazing about this, though, is that over time, very much like European plantings where you have field blends, these vineyards also have developed what we consider a field blend because vines have been replaced, clones may have changed in here, and all of a sudden you have a dynamic variation of clonal selections, rootstock selections that are just unique and identifiable only to this one particular site. So they really are one-offs. And as you'll taste through the wines today, which I have already, you're going to find some dynamic variation in flavor profile, even though they're all Zinfandel. So tons of fun.
Okay, let's bottoms up. Let's start drinking.
So you guys are going to be tasting, this is the 2018, 100% Zinfandel from Lizzy James. 2018 was a wonderful growing season for us. If you're not familiar with Lodi and exactly where we're at, if you were to take San Francisco and Sacramento and intersect them, you would run right into Lodi. We're in the central part of the valley here. Most people think central part of the valley means warm weather, but as you can see, we have beautiful delta breezes here because the ocean breezes pass through the Golden Gate, through the Carquinez Straits, and land right up into our area. And so these warm days and beautiful cool nights are what produce these wines. So you have this wonderful, beautiful, intense flavor. 2018 was a very mild season for us. We had nice warm days, cool nights. And then we had a very lengthy, cool end of the season heading towards ripeness. And so it was a lot of fun. One thing that's beautiful about the fruit that comes out of this is as we get close to harvest, I describe the taste of these berries as we're tasting, getting ready to harvest, as coming into what I always call little pillows of grandma's jam. You get these wonderful jammy characteristics, these flavor profiles that come out of these berries that really make these intense wines. We're on 100% French oak. We love French oak on Zinfandel because really the wine is not about the spice rack that we've wrapped around the fruit, but it's really about the story that Lizzy James is telling. And so what I love about the French oak is it's very soft and supple on the nose. It gives you a nice, soft, subtle support in the backbone. But as you taste through that wine, Lizzy just unfolds and tells its story. And it's very rich, very broad-shouldered, and just a beautiful wine to enjoy with nearly anything.
What do you suggest pairing it with? Or is it just standalone or with a hearty meal? What's your preference and suggestion?
Yeah, one of the best pairings I have with this is just simply in a nice, comfortable couch in front of a fire. Not in the summer, probably, but just enjoying the nuances of this particular Zinfandel. Goes very well with a mild grilled lamb. I mean, the list goes on and on. Zinfandel is one of those incredibly versatile wines that really can be paired with nearly anything because they're very much fruit forward.
We wanted to have our other presenters taste your wine and spill the tea a bit and see what they think of it. So Katie, can we see your reaction to your sip and what you're tasting?
I love the richness of this. It's just there's just so much going on in this glass. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very texturally not heavy but interesting, I think. I love the aroma.
Hugh, what about you? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Katie. I'm sorry.
I'd really like to compliment Kyle. I think this was a great expression of Lodi Zen. To echo Katie, I love the richness on this wine, but at the same time, it's not heavy or cloying. It's got an opulence and a dark fruit quality, like I think you said, Kyle. The jamminess is there, but there's also freshness in addition to the jamminess. And to me, that's one of the challenges with Zin, is to capture not just jamminess, not just fresh fruit, but that spectrum you get when Zin is truly ripe. And I think you did a great job here. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks,
very
guys.
well balanced, not high alcohol, not hot. Sometimes you get with Zins that are very full in their fruit components. This is lovely, absolutely beautiful.
Yes, I agree. And I wanted to ask you, Kyle, I saw online that you guys have a Zin lovers pack. So does that include this Zinfandel and then 2 others from your winery?
It does, yes. We have 3 different Zinfandels that we produce. One comes also from our Scottsdale vineyard, which strikingly is in the same exact soils we have here. But once again, dynamically different in flavor profile. So we love to highlight and showcase what each individual's potential is. And that's why we love the 100% nature of our wines with these particular vineyard designates. Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you a few questions about visiting the vineyard itself. But first, can you just briefly tell us a little bit about your sustainability practices? Because I know that all 3 of our presenters here are big into sustainability. So I would love to hear your little save the earth moment, because it's a big deal for me.
Well, it is. And, I think people don't realize how important it is to farmers, because we are 5th generation on the same ground that my wife's great-great-grandfather purchased back in the year 1900. It's our livelihood. It is where we live. It's where we raise our kids. We drink the water that the vines drink. And so sustainability for us has always been second nature. We happen to be certified now through Lodi rules, third-party certification. But sustainability is part of a farmer's creed. We have to take care of what provides for us, and had we not, we wouldn't be here today, right? And so I think the average consumer doesn't really understand how much importance we put on that whole aspect. And so leading into being certified with that meant that we changed nothing going into it because we were already sustainable. Sustainable to the fact that we had a tour out in one of our vineyards at our home ranch earlier this year, and I was showing the hatching of ladybugs that occurred naturally, and they're highly susceptible to any environmental factor, you know, and so that is just a true indication of what we do. And over time, I've really discovered that, you know, less is more, that, you know, as humans, we really find that we think we've got a better mousetrap and we have a new product, we can do something better. But the reality of it is if you just let nature take care of itself as it has, you're typically better off. And we've really discovered that over time. And our whole farming practice over my 25-year career has really changed to just let the earth do its thing and adapt with it. So, yeah.
So if we put you as a shining star on our Zinfandel trail, and we decide to visit, what can we expect? Can we actually see the Lizzy James Vineyard? What is there to do once we're there?
Yeah, so the Lizzy James Vineyard is offsite from our tasting room. We do have a grape to glass tour that can be scheduled on at any given time at the home ranch where our tasting room resides. We also have a Lizzy James tour coming up August 14th, and I believe you can go online about July 28th, and you can actually schedule that. We're actually going to drive out and do a walking tour with myself
nice.
through Lizzy James to really discover what these old vineyards are all about. And we might actually taste some wine in the process. So, you know, it's not a bad thing.
Okay, and what about, so, and the standard grape to glass tour that you that takes place in the tasting room?
That's actually on our home ranch. Where our tasting room resides is our original 60-acre piece of ground that we have owned all these years. We actually take you out to the vineyards to see what's going on any given day. We walk out into the winery to show you and experience what happens out there. Just walking into that and smelling that wonderful oak and wine sitting in barrels is just magical all by itself. There's tasting throughout that tour. We also have beautiful gardens that were planted by my wife's great grandfather back in the early 20s. Huge deodorant cedars, ferns, great places to land, and that's also something you'll experience as well while you're there. So, yeah, wonderful spot.
Nice. And I guess final question is, besides this fabulous 2018 Lizzy James Zinfandel, what is a non-Zinfandel wine that we can look forward to trying at Harney Lane?
Yeah, we are living in a very versatile growing region, and so we have wonderful white varietals as well as reds. So you're going to experience everything from beautiful dry rosés. We've always dappled with Spanish varietals, with Albarino, which is beautiful, bright and crisp. We have the red Tempranillo that comes from Spain growing on our property. We're in Zinfandel heaven here in Lodi. We love Zinfandels, but we stretch all the way out into beautiful Petit Syrahs and Cabernets. So we have quite a diverse portfolio, something that everyone would enjoy coming to the winery.
Okay, great. Any final thoughts before we go down the street to Hugh?
Well, if you haven't experienced Lodi, you have to come out and enjoy it. It's spacious. Wineries are really spread out. It's a wonderful day trip, especially if you're in the Bay Area or within 100 miles. Beautiful place to come visit, and we look forward to seeing everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm gonna drink my final little sip. I don't know what state I'm going to be in by the end of this hour, because I opened all 3 bottles prior and did a tasting of my own. So, but it'll be good. It'll be a great evening. Thank you so much. All right. So now we're going to go, as I said, not quite down the street, but almost down the street to Hugh Chappell. And with over 30 years of experience making world-class wines in California, from textured Sauvignon Blancs and Zins to other intriguing wines stemming from Rhone varieties, Hugh Chappell is known for crafting wines that are impeccably balanced, and deeply evocative of their origin. It just sounds rich in the statement. I can't wait to have another taste of that wine now. Breathtaking views of Mount St. Helena aside, Hugh was drawn to Quivira's unique terroir and became a winemaker here in 2010. I keep wanting to say Quivira. At Quivira, Hugh taps into his warm and cool climate experiences, delivering wines with bold varietal character that demonstrate balance and finesse. All the while, he's diligently working to achieve the winery's environmental goal of self-sustainability. That is a great goal. So now let's go to Hugh for a chat and a taste of his 2018 Anderson Ranch Vineyard Zinfandel. Hello, Hugh.
Well, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, my experience with Zin goes back really to my first head winemaker job in the Sierra foothills quite a long time ago. I've always had a passion and soft spot in my heart for wonderful Zinfandel. The terroir here is Dry Creek Valley is like Lodi, another special magical place for Zinfandel. Quivira, this is actually Quivira's 40th anniversary this year. I'm not sure if everyone on the call knows that. We were founded in 1981. And we've been family owned and operated the entire time. You know, the current owners, Pete and Terry Kite, purchased Quivira in 2006. And we'd already begun the journey to, you know, our sustainability journey, so to speak, started around actually prior to 2000, when we committed to powering as much of the winery as possible via solar. We were one of the first wineries in the area to put a rather massive solar array on the roof of the winery. That was followed by working with the local California Fish and Game and local authorities on revitalizing the not only Wine Creek, which runs through our property, but then that's a tributary that runs into Dry Creek, which runs into the Russian River, to repopulate that with the native steelhead trout and coho salmon. That sustainability, those efforts were then followed by beginning a path to into organic farming. Beginning in 2000, we started the path to get organic certified, which is a 3-year process. So since really 2000, the year 2000, we've been farming organically and have are currently CCOF certified on you know, for all of our and something we really, you know, believe in. And you know, those, you know, I would say those elements I've just relayed sort of encompass Quivira's personal approach to sustainability that we found works for us, and that we're, you know, very, very committed to. You know, I'd say, why don't we, are you okay to dive into the wine?
Yeah, quick question first.
Sure.
I have been reading about your biodynamic gardens and your heritage chickens. Can you tell me what heritage chickens are, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to segue into that when we, you know, when I talked about a little bit about the guest experience here, which is, you know, very distinctive and unique. But, you know, part of our journey to where we are now involved exploring biodynamics. And for a period of time, we were farming strictly biodynamic by the Demeter playbook. We were actually Demeter certified biodynamic for many years. We've taken from that what we found truly works for us, specifically the way biodynamics treats the soil. For us, that was really the biggest thing, and also this approach to biodiversity. So we don't just have grapes on our property. We have, you know, we have over 100 fruit trees. We have over 100 raised beds in our garden that's just adjacent to the winery. We have a range of animals on the property at any given time, you know, often somewhere between 50 to 80 heritage breed chickens, which, you know, provide a great venue, you know, near some of our tasting spots for guests to come enjoy. And that kind of approach to biodiversity, again, it dovetails into the, you know, how we view sustainability. It's part of our approach to organic farming to do more on our land besides just grapes. And it really adds a wonderful element to the guest experience here when they can wander through, about 120 raised beds that have medicinal plants, herbs, vegetables, fruits, olive trees. And it's an educational resource for us as well to really emphasize how we approach, again, organic farming and why we feel it's so important.
Okay, great. All right, I'm thirsty. Let's get on to the drinking.
Let's dive in. 2017 Anderson Ranch Zinfandel. It's Anderson Ranch is our second estate ranch. It's actually our third. We have one 2-acre plot of truly old vine Zin. That's basically within the Lytton Spring holdings, but not owned by the Lytton Spring folks. Anderson Ranch, though, is right adjacent to the Healdsburg Airport on Lytton Spring Road, really hallowed ground within Dry Creek Valley for Zinfandel. And it's sort of in the southeastern part of Dry Creek Valley, almost approaching the Alexander Valley border and the Russian River on the east and the Russian River border kind of on the south. And it's a cooler subzone within Dry Creek Valley. And one of the notable characters that we find in this wine, comparable to, I would say, the Ridge Lytton Springs, is a remarkable acidity that's a counterpoint to the really pure, the pure Zinfandel characters. This is 100% Zinfandel from a decomposed sandstone, rather soil type for the area. And 2017 was a dream vintage in Dry Creek Valley for us. And the wines have been drinking great from day one, and we think they're going to age beautifully for, with good storage, probably over 10 years. So again, single vineyard. Again, we do all the farming. This is an estate property, and 100% Zinfandel.
And what are we smelling? What are the tasting notes for those who feel the adjectives don't come naturally when sniffing? I love it or I don't like it. So what are we smelling here? What are we tasting?
What I love about this wine is its purity. I love field blends and the complexity and the layers you get in those great Zinfandel field blends. There's a purity though when you have 100% Zinfandel in the right spot, where you have an amazing brightness of fruit, and it's a spectrum. It's red fruit, dark fruit. Some people might even say blue fruit. That purity is something we work hard to capture. We tend to, ferment the wine not too hot. Like Kyle, we love French oak on this wine. We also love American oak on certain Zinfandels that we do. But for this particular wine, it's all French oak. And beyond that, we also prefer to get this wine out of small French oak after it's malolactic, and we move it into large French oak, which are called foudres. So 600 and 900 gallon foudres for the second half of the aging. So it's about half its time in traditional smaller 60-gallon barrels, and the second half of the aging is in these large foudres that we hold at 52 Fahrenheit. So we can age at low sulfur and also completely eliminate the risk of Brettanomyces, because Brett can't grow at that temperature. So and again, minimizing sulfites and additives in our wine is another thing we work hard to do. And during the time we were certified biodynamic, we developed a lot of expertise in that, and that's now something that is just part of what we do. It's part of how we make our wines. So really for this wine, for me, it's all about that purity, and really, it's not only the varietal Zinfandel, but it's, to me, a very special spot in Dry Creek Valley along Lytton Spring Road. It's about really, this is our most terroir driven Zin to sum it all up.
All right, well, let's go to today's judges panel, starting with Katie. Katie, what do we think of Hugh's wine?
I love this pure expression of Dry Creek Valley, which to me always, the zins from Dry Creek Valley remind me of the brambliness of blackberry vines and the way they smell when it's warm, along with the fruit of blackberries. We pick a lot of blackberries around here in the summer, and this definitely is reminiscent of that, and I think it's so beautifully balanced. It's got good structure and good tannin. Will stand up to a lot of different kinds of food, but I think it's a beautiful expression of Dry Creek Valley.
Thank you.
Thank
Kyle?
Yeah, I love it also. This is a very nice medium-bodied Zinfandel. I love the warm texture that it has wrapped around it, and the finish is almost, with the acidity that you get captured, gives me almost a Bing cherry note at the end, which if you were looking at the opposite direction, or the direction I'm looking at Bing cherries we just harvested about 2 weeks ago. And so I get a little bit of that note on the finish on that, which is that acidity that's still holding up nicely. So beautiful, beautiful expression.
Thank you.
Hugh, this wine, you received recognition for it, right? Was it from Wine Advocate or Wine Enthusiast?
To be honest with you, I can't remember. It has gotten a few good scores across Spectator, Wine Advocate, Wine Enthusiast. I think in the 92, 93 point range. It's got a couple of scores in that range.
Okay, yeah, because I saw on your website that you have, you guys I think have 4 different zins there that you offer, and 3 of them have like pretty high rankings, so or pretty high scores, not rankings. What about why did you choose this zin to share with us opposed to the others?
This is the zin that this is the zin I drink the most of at home. So it's really the winemaker's favorite, and since I'm doing the presentation, I got to pick. And to me, I think it really embodies our approach. This wine embodies our approach to not only Zinfandel, but also the other wines we make. You know, that sense of purity, that balance, while at the same time being very naturally made wines. Which, you know, sometimes can be an oxymoron for some people, you know, clean, pure, naturally made wines. So for us, actually, we love that challenge, and for me, this wine really embodies that approach. So I thought it would be great to showcase it today.
Well, everyone seems to be loving it, including myself. And why don't you now tell us why we should be including your winery on our Zinfandel trail? What can we expect when we visit? You're in the tasting room right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the tasting room, and as you might imagine, there are our raised beds, and that's only a portion of things that guests can walk around. We have chairs, tables, umbrellas scattered throughout our garden. You know, we're really blessed with a lot of spacious, expansive outdoor space. So you know, we've been able to entertain guests regularly since wineries were allowed to do so. We've been able to space people out safely in a pretty big area, and we're just in an absolutely gorgeous spot tucked up against the western foothills of Dry Creek Valley. Whether you're here in the morning or here at the end of the day, you know, there's you can kick your heels up in the shade and enjoy the wines. You can take self-guided tours through our organic gardens along the creek where our creek restoration efforts were done, and there's a lot of signage there to tell people what we did with regard to the steelhead and the coho salmon. And I really think it's the beauty of the spot and really a spacious environment to just relax and enjoy the wine. We have great, well-trained staff here, many of which have worked hardest for us. It's just really, it's a gorgeous spot. I often go out at the end of the day just to enjoy the ambiance.
Okay, and I see that the classic tasting is your signature experience when people visit. Do we taste this Zinfandel during the classic tasting or a different one?
This Zinfandel is often on the classic tasting. It often rotates. We often do two of our signature Zins, which would be either this one, the Anderson Ranch, or our Black Boar, which is a 2-vineyard estate Zin that has a little slug of Petit Sur on it. So a little more muscular, a little more structured, a little darker fruit style of Zin. So there's usually a flagship, one of our flagship Zins on the classic tasting. Like a lot of wineries, as things have started to reopen, we're about to add a food pairing for a small additional fee, which will be up on our website really soon. We're about to add a more upgraded estate tasting, which will focus on some of our smallest lot wines, along with the wines from the classic tasting. So again, we're planning to roll out a lot of exciting new options for guests when they come here. The classic tasting is 5 wines, and it's a great way to experience sort of what we're all about. And there'll soon be multiple options, including food pairings, in addition to the classic tasting.
Okay, great. So it's open now. There's no appointments required, or you still needed an appointment to do the classic tasting?
Yeah, we're still doing things by reservation. Depending on the day of the week, we currently are closed Tuesday, Wednesdays, and but it's depending on the day you pick, it can be not that big a deal to get the call the day you want to come. If there's a spot, it's no problem. There's no we try to be as flexible as we can. If we have space, we're certainly not going to turn anyone away just because, they don't technically have a reservation. But They're like a lot of wineries, we found knowing who's coming really allows us to give the customer a better experience and allows us to control things a bit better. So we're, the folks that do come are just having a really fantastic time.
Okay, and to wrap it up, I have a few last final questions. So currently, the estate tour and estate tasting have not restarted, but they will soon?
Yeah, probably within the next 7 to 10 days.
Okay, and I'm still not clear. What is a heritage chicken?
Oh,
is it like a pedigree chicken, like a purebred kind of chicken?
I don't. They're sort of older breeds that are not in any sort of extensive commercial production anymore for either eggs or meat. So, I'm not an expert on the lineage of the different breeds that we have, but we also support the slow food movement, and it sort of ties into that support of sort of biodiversity, and the heritage breeds are breeds that if people like us and other small farms didn't keep them going, those heritage breeds would go extinct. And so for us, we love, keeping those heritage breeds going, and they're a true pleasure to watch run around, and they're very different looking than the average chicken.
Makes us vegetarian very happy.
Yeah.
Chickens having good lives. Someone has one quick question. Are there still the kiwi plants growing at Anderson Ranch?
No. Wow. Someone really knows the history of Anderson Ranch. It was a kiwi orchard before it went into Zinfandel. There are not. I mean, there might be one hidden in the owners. We farm Anderson Ranch via a long-term lease. So it is an estate property, but the owner of Anderson Ranch, the Anderson matriarch, Nadine Anderson, she still lives on the property. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was one kiwi tree in her backyard, but there really isn't any on the property as a whole.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Hugh, for sharing all that information, and send my love to the chickens.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so now our final presenter is Katie Wetzel Murphy. Katie Wetzel Murphy has turned a small family business at Alexander Valley Vineyards into a small empire. Her parents purchased the historic Cyrus Alexander homestead in North Sonoma in 1962 and started planting grapevines a year later. eventually making their own wines. On the heels of earning her BA in 1979, Katie began officially working in the vineyards, and the rest is history. And if you go on the website and you see the timeline, you can see right after she's graduated, when she first started working there at the vineyards. During her tenure, Alexander Valley Vineyards has expanded dramatically and production has increased tenfold. An underground cave was added as a naturally cooled underground barrel aging space. Alexander Valley Vineyards was recognized multiple times as an environmental leader, and the winery has become a household name in California wine country, affectionately referred to as AVV. So here from AVV is Katie to tell us about her family vineyard and the legendary Sinzin.
Great, thank you so much, Paul. It's a little hard to know where to begin, but I think that first of all, we are, again, my family, the Wetzel family. My parents bought the property actually from Cyrus Alexander's granddaughter. And Cyrus Alexander came to this valley in the 1840s. So there's a lot of history here. Two families have owned the property since the 1840s. My family still owns it. My two brothers, and our spouses, and are all partners. My two nephews do most of the day-to-day operations, but we're definitely a family-owned and operated winery. Well, Alexander Valley is probably most well known for Cabernet Sauvignon. We make lots of other varieties. The Russian River flows through our valley, which gives a nice cooling effect. Morning fog for producing wonderful Chardonnay, Rosé of Sangiovese, Merlot, and even a Pinot Noir, which there aren't too many of in this neighborhood. But excuse me. But you know, it's interesting when we talk about all three of these wineries, how much farming is in the forefront of them. We also have a very large vegetable farm, about 200 egg-laying chickens, which we sell to local restaurants, bakeries, and at the farmers market. We produce a lot of produce that we sell to local restaurants and the farmers market. So farming is definitely, we live in such great agricultural areas with great weather and great water and great soil. It's like, you gotta farm, you gotta have a garden, you gotta use this great opportunity to grow not only grapes and make good wine, but also food, which makes great wine taste even better. So,
so what can you tell me a little bit about, like, this cult classic Sinzin that's been around for a while and everybody seems to love?
Well, Sinzin, we started making in 1978 as a homemade wine. And just to give you an example of how historic, how different the wine industry is today. When we planted grapes in the 1960s, we planted Chardonnay, Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Chenin Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Pinot Noir, and Zinfandel. The reds haven't changed too much. The whites have changed a lot because the reds are more profitable here, but we have been making Sinzin since 1978. The classic early label was black and white. You guys have the label in front of you. You don't need me to show it to you. And then we've gone to a color label since then. I even have license plates that say Sinzin, and I named the wine when we first started producing it. So it's very close to my heart. And it's something that we do produce other Zinfandels, but this is a very kind of, to me, kind of an everyman Zinfandel. It's medium bodied. It's not too high in alcohol. It's something everybody can enjoy. And it's, a lot of people don't know or haven't realized over the years that we are the ones making Zinfandel because it doesn't say Alexander Valley Vineyards on the front, but that's okay.
And we all sin.
Yes, we all sin, and this is a good thing too for all of us to drink while we're doing it.
We can all sin. So yeah, so can we pour a glass and
You bet.
taste alongside you, please?
So this is a Sonoma County appellation. According to the rules that we use, the wine industry uses, anything under the Alexander Valley Vineyards label has to be an Alexander Valley appellation. That's not a problem because this is not, this doesn't say Alexander Valley Vineyards on our logo on the front. But so this gives us a lot of leeway to choose lots from our vineyards in Alexander Valley and a few vineyards that we choose from in Dry Creek Valley as well.
How does it taste so good and it's so affordable? Thank you. Is it subsidized? Is this part of like one of the relief acts from last year? Subsidized Zinfandel?
I will just say that wine was a lot, land was a lot less expensive in 1962 than it is today.
Okay.
And our other winemakers on the panel know that as well. And that certainly helps with keeping our costs a little bit lower. And we've been producing this for so long, and it's just such an iconic wine. Now, we do make a lot of other wines, and if people come visit us, they'll have a chance to taste other things as well, but maybe we want to hear from the rest of the panel about the wine.
Let's go to the judges panel. Hugh, what do you think of the Zinfandel? Are you sinning yet?
You know, I even with my best efforts, I sin a little every day, unfortunately. So I should probably be entitled to have a little of this every day to balance it out.
Your smile is growing by the second, so I can tell the sin is coming.
I think Katie, you know, hit the nail on the head with the medium bodied note to me. And to me, this wine's a great example of that Zin doesn't need to be this really big, you know, monstrous high octane wine. You know, that's a wine, those are winemaking decisions to make Zin that way. You know, Zinfandel can make a beautiful, drinkable, you know, go-to, you know, everyday red wine that's super versatile. And I think I've heard every person on the panel comment on Zin's versatility, which I think this wine really exemplifies. I mean, I could see having this with even richer fish, you know, salmon or the right kind of halibut, as well as classic mixed grill, you know, or pastas, pizzas, whatever. And to me, you know, medium-bodied Zins are super versatile, almost making me think of, you know, a Chianti Classico, which is, or you know, wines I personally love and drink a lot at home. But you know, very nice job. I think it's a classic Alexander Valley. You know, it's got some dusty tannins, some spiciness to it, and a broad range of fresh and dried fruit.
My God, that sounds like we found a winner. Kyle, what do you think?
Drum roll, please, right?
Yes.
No, I'll tell you, one thing that hasn't been talked about is the regionality of Zinfandel and how specific it is. And the Zinfandels coming from Lodi or Dry Creek or Sonoma or Alexander Valley or Paso or wherever they're coming from have their own unique kind of spice rack that wraps around it. And this is a really great example of these three wines we're tasting. And this one falls right in place with it. You know, it is that wonderful medium-bodied wine, again, with a nice warm texture. I love the fruit. Again, I'm getting some red cherry out of it, a little pepper, a little spice in the finish. You know, it's just Zinfandel's all the way around. There's so many expressions of it, and they're all just lovely. This is beautiful. Yeah, this has been a great time.
Thank you, Kyle. Now, Katie, so besides sinning at AVV, what can we look forward to if we put you guys on our Zinfandel trail?
Well, before I forget, I'll talk a little bit in a minute about our tastings and what you see. We also make redemptions in and salvations in. So if you come to visit us, you can taste those as well. One of our highlights of coming to visit us is a tour of our caves, which you can see behind me. And
Am I going to teleport you now into the cave?
We're going to teleport me into the
Is
cave.
this where I teleport her right now?
If Leo will put that up.
I don't think the volume's working.
Give me a second. I'll see if I can get it louder.
Okay.
A cave is a perfect place for aging red wines in barrels. It has a constant year-round temperature, a relatively high humidity that cuts evaporation, and is a great story to tell as well. Visitors can come inside our caves for a cave tour, and we do comparative barrel tastings of French oak and American oak for our visitors when they come visit at no charge. These are complimentary tours. A cave is a perfect place for aging.
Okay. Back to earth. Back to earth.
We're all stuck in the cave forever. So we're open every day. We have estate tastings at no charge. We have reserve tastings that we do charge for. We have vineyard hikes with a box lunch. We have wine and cheese pairings that there is a cost for and you need to reserve. We have cave tours every day. Now they're at 12 and 2:30 because we figured out to be smart and actually do the cave tours when the forklift drivers are not in the cave. Wow, what a concept. And we're open every day from 10 to 5. So you don't need a reservation unless you want one of these special things like a vineyard hike where you hike through the vineyard and taste each wine in the particular vineyard that you're walking through.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also have it's a historic property, original Cyrus Alexander home, original Cyrus Alexander schoolhouse and adobe, and the Cyrus Alexander family cemetery are on our property. And we don't offer those usually on the tour, but if that's something you're interested in, you could ask for a historic tour and we can arrange to make that happen as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Katie. Really appreciate it. And thanks for going underground for us.
You bet. I'm happy to answer any questions there might be if anyone has any about anything.
Perfect. One thing, can we go back to Kyle? Kyle, I forgot to ask you if reservations are required to visit Harney Lane these days, or is everything back to normal?
Yeah, no, everything is, other than tours, everything's back to normal. If you have groups larger than 6, it's suggested you call just to make sure we can take care of it. But we have plenty of space. We have normal tasting happening. The gardens are full of seating where you can come in and just enjoy yourself today. So yeah, it's lovely to have people back, let me tell you.
Oh, I know. Well, I want to thank Hugh, Kyle, and Katie for joining us. You guys can see that you can visit these wineries and make them part of your Zinfandel trail. You're kind of living the trail at home, but now you can do it in real life again, which is such a relief and so wonderful.
We did have a question from someone about how did these wineries cope during lockdowns, and did they do virtual tastings until the tasting rooms could reopen, which I don't know if what everybody else did, but we've been doing a lot of virtual tastings. I do a Facebook tasting once a week. We're trying to figure out if we want to still keep doing those, because the nice thing about virtual is it includes people all over the country. It can be difficult sometimes. Sometimes it's difficult to just what to come up with to say every week. What can you do that's at least different than just sit here and taste wine and throw out adjectives, so that's a little challenging from a marketing standpoint. But I think you'll continue to see kind of hybrids, and wineries have had the opportunity to really evaluate what they've done in the past and see what works best and what doesn't, and change accordingly. So that it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Katie, Paul, I'm going to jump in here for a second because
Okay.
that is such a great thing that you just said about, including everybody. We have so many people who have said to Zap over the years, oh, come to our city. We really, we want you here and to do a tasting. And of course, even back in the day when we were doing those, we couldn't get to every city. And this really has given us a wonderful opportunity to expand the audience, and to get wine to people has been a great opportunity as well. And here's Paul sitting in Florida. I know he's getting ready to go off to Africa, but we're really glad that he's here, able to taste the wines today from your home base. And of course, again, the regionality conversation I think is so important for Zinfandel, as you all were talking. And you're all in different parts of California, and it's just absolutely wonderful to be able to share that. And I can't wait to come and visit you all. I am very excited, and it just shows, I think the conversation about the winemaking and the sustainability for what you're doing, it is so right on for the Zinfandel conversation as well. I mean, with these vines dating back, going over 150 years, and with your family's history, and Quivira celebrating their did you say 40th anniversary?
40th.
Wow, that is just absolutely amazing. So this really was a tremendous opportunity to tie all of those pieces together and to celebrate your respective stories. So I just want to thank all of you for making time and sharing your wines. And Paul, you did such a fantastic leading and just guiding them through. And I have to tell you, really great to have them talk about their all the wines. That was brilliant. So thank you.
No, and shameless plug. Everyone, thank you all the attendees and the media who are listening in. Please follow us on Instagram. It's important these days to have a following on Instagram. So you can see here where to follow us if you do have Instagram. I can guarantee that the other 4 handles will have lots of pictures from vineyards. Mine will have the occasional picture from my travels through wine country, but a lot of pictures of exotic islands and African wildlife. So it's good to have a mix.
Wonderful.
But
well, and I'll do another shameless plug too, because this just came out. I don't know if you all can see this. There we go. So this is our Zinex event, where all 3 of these wineries are going to be participating with us. And we are going to be live once again in San Francisco in January. And so I want to extend an invitation and a shout out to all of you to come visit us, because that is where the Zinfandel community comes together, is every January 27, 28, and 29, Zinex. And we are back to Zinex this year. So that's my shameless plug. So there you go. Yay, I know, we're
Excellent.
so excited. Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, now we're opening it up, right?
Absolutely, yeah, we'll give a minute, yep. Yeah, so let everybody in, and we'll see if we have any other questions. Here we
I see
go.
everyone's still muted.
Yep. That's all right.
Yeah, you guys can unmute yourselves if you are so inclined. If you have any questions,
and switch to gallery mode. Leah's telling us to switch to gallery mode. And one of the other things that I always love about this time of day after we finish the tasting, and inevitably the food conversation comes up. And so, it's what are you tasting food-wise with your wine tasting? And I loved that Gouda comment. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. And then I saw that picture of Katie's photo with the ribs, I'm all over that. That sounds absolutely wonderful. You know, ribs and Zinfandel, yeah, great, great way to go.
And even like bread and salami and cheese. Zinfandel's great with that. It kind of complements both the meat and the cheese, and the bread sops it up, and it can be really simple this time of year. I think Zinfandel, for anything that has barbecue sauce that's a little tangy, Zinfandel's perfect wine, bar none.
But I often think, to Hugh's point, you know, the salmon comment is so appropriate as well, because, you know, especially with some sort of a sauce or the richness of the salmon, just really can, especially a char, if you've got it on the grill, it just really plays so well to those beautiful flavors in Zinfandel wines.
Yeah.
So
Hugh,
what are you having
the
for dinner
co-host,
tonight, Kyle?
Remember the lake barbecues up in Labrador? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
Mhm.
Zin and lamb? It was wonderful.
Yep, absolutely. So what's going to be on your dinner table tonight, you guys? Hugh, Kyle, Katie, what are you guys having for dinner?
Hmm.
So you
I don't think you've gotten that far.
Dinner?
Dinner? Yeah, dinner. Hugh?
Probably on my end, it's going to be, I think tonight is going to be pasta with a lamb ragu. Which I have some, I actually have some of the Andersons in an older vintage open that I think we're going to have with a lamb ragu tonight. You know, aged Zinfandel is something, you know, that I encourage you guys to try whenever you can. You know, I think Zinfandel is not often thought of a wine you'd lay down for, you know, 7 to 10 years like a great Cabernet or great Pinot Noir, but you know, if the Zinfandel has balance, and it's not always about acidity, it can be about tannins and just overall balance. Zinfandel can really surprise you with how well it ages. We love pulling, again, sometimes part of our guest experience is we'll pull a library wine open and we'll go around and pour people a Zinfandel that has 5, 6, 7, 8 years of bottle age on it, sometimes from a Magnum. I think Zinfandel, you know, when I started tasting older Zins, I was pretty much floored on how well they can age. And, you know, Ridge has been saying that for decades.
Yeah.
Winning blind tastings against classified growth Bordeaux. And I think it's something to maybe put into the equation here as well, as Zinfandel can go the distance in the cellar if it has the balance and you're storing it properly.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. I wanted to break away from the food conversation for just a second, because we're getting a message from Mary McKill. Pardon me if I'm not pronouncing it right. She says, time for another shameless plug. There will be a story in Travel Girl magazine, travelgirlinc.com, in the fall issue on the Zinfandel Trail with Andrew Zimmerman. So there you go. And I mispronouncing his name too, but there you go.
Zimmern.
Thank you.
Nice.
Lodi.
Oh, congrats. All right.
I was going to ask you to comment a little bit, Hugh, about how unique Zinfandel is as a grape, because it, like, the sugar continues to go up after you pick it, and it has its own American characteristics. It's not it's not like anything else.
It's not like it's. I'm sure Kyle will echo this, but you know, Zinfandel is really hard to make. You know, everyone says Pinot is the heartbreak grape. You know, I was a winemaker at Flowers Winery in Linn-Mar prior to coming to Quivira, and I will, you know, I can guarantee you Zinfandel is, you know, Zinfandel is harder to make. Pinot, there's less spots where great Pinot Noir will make, you know, where you can plant Pinot Noir to make great Pinot Noir. There's less of those pieces of dirt, I would say. It's more specific. But Zinfandel, from a winemaking point of view, you know, what percentage of desiccation or raisins do you say pick? A ripe Zinfandel cluster has pink berries, perfect looking berries, raisins. You know, despite the best viticulture and vineyard management, Zinfandel as a variety ripens very unevenly, and you know it does that differently in each vineyard, in each region, and it's quite agonizing to decide, you know, how to, you know, when to say pick. One of the things we've embraced at Quivira is a little broader approach to what maturity is. You know, some people have this specific vision of what ripe is. We've actually come to believe for us, ripeness is a spectrum. It's not one perfect sugar level and acidity, blah, blah, blah. We actually like picking some of our Zin when the seeds are not yet brown, but the skin tannins are ripe and there's really zippy acidity. Those alcohols might be under 14%. We'll then keep picking the Zin in increments, depending on the location, you know, at more normal sugar levels. And sometimes, you know, sometimes we have Zins clocking in, blending components, of course, that, you know, are between 15 to 16%, sometimes even higher. But having those, when you think about it as a blend and what you're trying to do in the finished wine, you know, it all works out. And for us, it's a great way to achieve the balance in the wine we're looking for, which is, you know, something that is, you know, really one of our highest priorities in the winemaking process, to achieve, you know, a really good balance in our wines. And that approach really helps us out.
So what a great segue again to, you know, kind of tie things up and to talk about the commitment of all of these great Zinfandel wineries and winemakers to, you know, really keeping this wonderful, wonderful grape wine alive and showcasing the beauty of it, and really coming back to the quality winemaking that really is what Zinfandel is all about. And so, you know, again, hats off to you for, you know, again, continuing. And I think that, you know, as we go along, it really showcases, you know, how the winemaking process has improved. I mean, we are 150, 160 years into Zinfandel winemaking. And, you know, we're getting it, you know, now with all these wonderful vineyards and, you know, all of the great regionality, we're really starting to figure it out. And so I think that's a true testament to all of you and your commitment to Zinfandel. And I just want to thank you and continue to, you know, do the shout out and have folks come and visit you and, you know, learn what that process is all about. So, you know, I would just encourage everybody to get on that Zinfandel trail and go visit Katie at Alexander Valley Vineyards and Kyle at Harney Lane and you at Quivira, and you're in for a real treat. So thank you all so much for joining us, and it's been absolutely wonderful. We're going to see you on the Zinfandel trail. So have a great night, everybody, and enjoy those wines.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Paul. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.